Welcome to another episode of Mobile Technology Spotlight, sponsored by Samsung Electronics of America and proudly presented by Public Safety Insight. Samsung is committed to supporting public safety and helping first responders use technology as a force multiplier. I'm Dale Stockton, and today I'll be talking with John Quigley at the Atlanta Police Department. He's the Accreditation Manager there, but relevant to this podcast, he's a retired major who has played a significant role in leveraging technology, and he continues to be involved in many of their mobile-related tech efforts. John also serves on the Samsung Law Enforcement Advisory Council. That's when we were first exposed to some of these projects that Atlanta is doing. And I just want to say, John, thanks so much for being with us today. You started your career more than 31 years ago with Atlanta. I think this would be a kind of a neat way to start. Could you contrast what technology was like in public safety when you started and then what you're seeing today?
Good question, Dale. A lot has changed in 31 years for sure. And I was trying to think of some of those things. There were no cell phones back then, no GPS, no license plate readers, no internet really to speak of. Everything was done on paper. The incident reports, accident reports, arrests, impounds, information form. Back then, we didn't even have our own radios. We had to come into the precinct and sign for a radio and hope that there was one there and that the battery would last for the shift, that type of thing. No tasers, no pepper spray, wooden nightsticks. It was just a whole different atmosphere than what's out there today.
Yes. I haven't heard anybody talk about a nightstick in a long time. Times have definitely changed. So how about an overview of the major technology components that are occurring today at Atlanta PD, and what are the projects you've been involved in for the past few years, and where are they in rollout?
I want to start out with mentioning that Atlanta in 2018 had a ransomware attack. That ransomware attack corrupted data in servers and our on-prem platforms and caused us to really look towards cloud-based platforms for data backup and data security. But it was a challenging time. And ultimately, while we were looking at different platforms, now we were looking for cloud-based platforms. So, in my involvement, I was involved in deploying a new computer-aided dispatch system. It was Motorola's Premier One, and that is not a cloud-based platform. That is an on-prem platform on servers that we have at our location. That was implemented in 2021 and had been an ongoing project. So we've got that up and running. The record management system, which is what we do our incident reports on, we ended up pursuing Mark 43 as a cloud-based platform. And what we were meeting was the national requirement to be able to use the National Incident-Based Reporting System called NIBRS. And Mark 43 was able to satisfy that at the same time, give us a cloud-based platform. The other big project that I was involved in was the deployment of body-worn cameras. 2016, we went with Axon. And so we have body-worn cameras. And then I transitioned us from our vehicle cameras from WatchGuard to Axon cameras. The WatchGuard cameras at the time, you recorded on CDs and that type of thing. And Axon was able to capture the video and just move it directly to the cloud. So that way we were able to move the data swiftly. We lost many terabytes of video data in the ransomware attack. And so that's why, part of it was shifting the in-car cameras. So those were probably the major ones, the 911 system, the record management system, and body-worn camera, along with in-car cameras at the time.
Well, those are definitely huge projects with great impact on the agency. So looking back over your career, maybe including those you mentioned, but perhaps something else, what tech project have you been involved in that you feel has provided the greatest benefit to the officers, to the agency? Maybe some people would call it the best ROI.
There's a couple of different things here. I think the best return on investment, really the best technology, is the body-worn camera. Actually, it's the officer's best friend. It holds the officer accountable. It holds the citizen accountable. Most of internal affairs complaints can be handled by just looking at the video camera and determining whether or not there was something that was wrong or not. The vast majority of those fall in the officer's favor. Ultimately, it's a great tool, obviously capturing information, crime scenes and different things. So just a tremendous asset for us these days. There's a couple other things that I feel that are great benefit to the officers. One is license plate readers, which reading the tags and capturing these vehicles going through intersections, let us know who may have been near the scene or gone through the scene at any given time. We're able to store quite a bit of that data so that you can look back over a period of time to see who was in an area. And, I think it just connects the dots, helps us in terms of investigations, and, is a very useful tool. But one of the things that I think that has recently come about that is going to change the game is what I would call a cloud-based video management system. When you can integrate cameras into a cloud-based platform that leverages the internet, now you're able to integrate all types of camera systems at a very, very low cost. It used to be that, hey, if you wanted to integrate a Genetech video camera system into your video management system, might cost $40,000 to do that. Well, now it's nothing or next to nothing. And ultimately, you can use camera systems from Costco and integrate them. And this allows the police to have access to video, not that they're monitoring it, but to use it for investigations. This is super, super helpful. We have access to over 16,000 cameras in the city of Atlanta, and we have a registration where people tell us they have their cameras at their home. We don't have access to them, but another 16 or 17,000 cameras. So just being able to reach out to people and say, hey, can you go through your video and show us or let us know if you have a white vehicle coming through at a certain time of day that we're looking for, really is beneficial for our investigators. And, it's going to just change the game and help us to solve more cases.
I really like that approach, how you've engaged with the community and let them partner with you in an opt-in. That's super. Let's talk specifically about smartphones and what is the current level of smartphone deployment at Atlanta PD? What types of tasks are your officers using them for?
So right now we all pretty much have the Galaxy S21 FE. This is a super capable Samsung phone. All the field officers have a cell phone. All the investigators have a cell phone. All sergeants and above have a cell phone. Really, the only ones that don't have them are people in administrative positions. So like if you worked in crime analysis, your function is working with data and working on the computer in crime analysis. So you don't have a cell phone, a city issued cell phone to do your job, that type of thing. Or you might be assigned to the property room and you're just doing things at property and don't necessarily have to have a phone. So not every officer has a phone just yet, but I'm sure we'll get to that point. And that's the goal, is because the strategy is for the officer to be able to do his job 24/7, wherever they have connectivity to the internet. That's what a phone really allows. It allows you to access the internet via Wi-Fi, via cellular data, even, the Ethernet if you need it. And of course, the great thing about the Samsung phone is the DeX capability. So now all of a sudden I'm not doing something on a small screen. I'm doing it just like I did it on my desktop. And that's where we want the officers to be able to function. It helps us any type of disaster recovery situation that an officer could dock his phone and set himself up in any building as long as he had cellular data or if he had Wi-Fi data, continue to do investigations and access our platforms. That's the critical thing at this point. So what are they using them for right now? They're using the phones as a quick reference. For instance, they can look up their SOPs and their policies and things like that using Power DMS app on the phone. They're able to handle virtual meetings, all that type of thing. They're able to tag their videos in the Axon platform at evidence.com, take pictures and add them to their incident reports in the RMS, and they can view video. They may use it for other things as well. There's a lot of other areas we want them to use it. but it helps us. It gives us direct access to the employees 24/7. If we have to reach out to them, we can do that. And we also know that, for instance, in a disaster recovery thing, if the radio system went down, maybe with the phones, I still have a way to dispatch the officer and communicate with them. So it gives us a backup to the radio. You can put the Wave application, the Motorola Wave app, onto the phone and listen to the radio using the phone and communicate, that type of thing. I just feel that the actual radio is a lifeline for an officer, and I never want to take that device away or take it out of their hands. The phone is a great tool. It can do so many other things beyond what the radio actually does. But I want the radio there because everybody can hear when you speak on the radio. Everybody on the frequency that you're speaking on, everybody can come to your aid. The radios also give a GPS location for us to be able to monitor where the officer is and send any kind of assistance, that type of thing. Radios are key, but the phone is just so capable.
I really appreciate the level of coverage you gave us in response to that question. Let me ask you this. The sheer utility of the phone, the more common task I think that many people can identify with, like having access to Google to figure out what a pill is, or being able to call a parent of a juvenile you've come across at 3 a.m. Is that yielding benefit for you folks? Just the sheer utility side, what some people would call, those are just common sense uses?
We were discussing earlier the fact that you can use it to translate, the fact that, you can go to Google Lens and have the camera look at something and tell you what it is, or you can use it for language interpretation, for it to take a language and tell you in English what it means, or translate it from English to another language. I think most officers have a phone, so connectivity with their loved ones and stuff like that, they probably had that. But this one here is really for their work. We want them to have this as a tool and to learn that it is a tool for them to do so much of their work, and it's helpful to them. We are having to overcome the mentality that the officers don't want their supervisors to be able to call them anytime. And they're kind of afraid, like, is my supervisor going to call me at night or call me on the weekends and ask me things or make me do things? So I think at the moment we're still learning that, hey, this isn't going to be that kind of burden. But, if you've been in law enforcement and you've had a phone and you're connected 24/7, there is a wear and tear on you. And that the fact that you're always connected and you're never disengaged, I think that's an adjustment. And we have to monitor, make sure that quality of life wise, that the officers are not impacted severely and that it helps them more than any hindrance.
Well said. I'm curious, since you spent some time talking about being able to get in touch with them 24/7, are you embracing, or do you see in the future a system where essentially an officer is issued a phone at the beginning of their career and that number stays with them throughout their career?
Well, that's the way it will work here, that, hey, you get your phone as a recruit in the academy, and it will stay with you even through your time in what we have a thing called the retired reserve. So you can actually retire and stay a post-certified police officer with Atlanta and work extra jobs after you no longer are a full-time officer. So you're working these part-time jobs, whether it may be, for a movie or at a restaurant or something like that, and you're able to make some additional income to augment your retirement. But you'll still have this city phone until you leave, until you turn your badge in and you're no longer part of anything. So, it would be something that they would have, their whole career. One of the things at the moment that our information management folks, when you do leave the city, you can't keep your phone number. So, the phone number you may be calling me on today, when I leave the city, I may not be able to keep it. And I'm trying to change that so that when we do leave, the officer, hey, if you use this for 30 years, why are you changing his number? But at the moment, the policy from our information management folks is you can't take your number with you when you leave. And that's something that's recent. But like I said, I'm trying to push back against that.
I can certainly identify with that because the number that you know me for contact is one that I began using back in the early 90s with my PD. So I appreciated the fact the department let me keep it. I think that's a great thing for you to get behind. So let's go a little further with the mobile side. You mentioned DEX. Would you explain what DEX is for anybody that might not know, and then how that fits in to technology efforts at Atlanta PD?
Well, DeX is Samsung's, it gives the phone the capability to give you a desktop experience. So basically, when you dock your phone to a monitor and a keyboard, your phone becomes a CPU and it lights up your keyboard and your monitor. And now your apps, all the apps on your phone are accessible to you. And many of those apps, probably most of them, function just like they would on a desktop. You now, instead of being restricted to a 3-inch by 6-inch screen, you now may have a 24-inch screen, and you're doing your work in something that's much more helpful, useful, where you can actually see things and manipulate things, and it just makes it an absolutely fabulous capability. What we're trying to do is we're trying to move in a direction where we use the phone and will someday be able to dock it in the vehicle. And instead of using a Panasonic Toughbook laptop, we would just dock the Samsung Galaxy phone, and now the touchscreen and the keyboard light up, and we do all our incident reports through the phone. We can pull up all our cameras in the car through the phone. We can tag all our videos from our body camera through the phone. We do everything with the phone acting as the CPU. And if we need to get out and talk to somebody, we just pull the phone out of the dock and go out and talk with them. And if we need their driver's license, we scan their driver's license with our cell phone, and we scan the VIN on the vehicle with the cell phone, and all that data goes back to or goes into our accident report module, and we can start typing up the accident report or incident report, whatever we need, but it's feeding from your phone. And, you're able to move through an incident much quicker. If I'm able to, instead of take somebody's license and insurance information, everything back to my car, if I'm able to just scan it with my phone, and, I can release them quicker once I've gotten their version of events and it's already captured on my body camera. They've told me what happened. I can go back to my car and finish my paperwork and let people leave the scene and get out of the interstate a lot sooner because I've captured all the information. It's either on my body camera, it's on my camera, or it came through my phone to my application, and I can move things along. So at this time, what we're trying to do is get the recruits to use the phone in the classroom to do incident reports and accident reports. They dock their phone to what we call a next stock laptop. It gives them the same capability as a laptop. It's basically the phone is docked, and it's when you open up the laptop, you've got a full screen and keyboard and all that type of thing, and they're able to knock out their paperwork and do things that way. But I'm trying to shift away from the next docks and just actually use docking stations instead with bigger monitors and allow them to leverage the phone so that I don't have to keep issuing next dock laptops and I don't end up having a limited number of those. I just go to the computer lab where I have a dock and a monitor and keyboard, and everything's already set up for them. So we're just transitioning with that. But we plan to incorporate e-citation into the cell phone so that they can do all their traffic citations through the phone, that we could do impounds through the phone and be able to track the wrecker and how soon it's going to be here, that type of thing, and be able to do that paperwork and send the paperwork back and forth to the wrecker services so people can get their vehicles out sooner, as well as warrants, getting hold of the judge, speaking to the judge through the phone, docking it, that type of thing, and being able to knock out the warrants. So using the phone as a signature pad, being able to get people to just use their finger to sign on the phone a document, that type of thing. So the phone just has enormous capabilities, and the more that we can push our apps and things in that direction, the better we'll be, the more the officers can do.
I really like the way you're leveraging mobile. And I think it's fair to say, based on what you just shared with us, that the smartphone is at some point going to be the primary computing device for in-car, in-field, in-station. And that leads me to ask you, do you see a significant potential for both cost savings because of the cost of the device, and time savings in terms of the mobile device management. You're not dealing with different types and sizes of computers.
Yeah, I've done a presentation to show that, hey, the Panasonic Toughbooks cost us $2,200 a piece. Mounting a dock in the car to put the Toughbook in cost another $600. Every time they change the Toughbook model, they change the mount. So now every time you change to a different version of their laptop, you're changing the mount in the vehicle, which costs more money. So you're saving hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars with that. The phone itself, we get from the vendor with not really a cost. We're just paying for the data. So we're paying $40 a month for unlimited, unthrottled data, 5G, along with $5 a month for a hotspot, for the phone to be a hotspot. So you're spending $45 a month times 12, and you basically will have that phone for about 3 years, and then they'll give you another one. So you basically get refreshed with a new computer, because your phone can be your computer, just refreshed every 3 years, and you're spending obviously a few $100s each year, but your cost savings on the mobile data terminals and mounts and other things, and not having to do a refresh on desktop computers in the zone because they can just dock their phone and continue to do their reports in the precinct. I think it's just going to save you a lot of money in the long run. And as far as I'm concerned, the phone is king. It's powerful, it's versatile, it's reliable, it's compact, and it's rugged. It does everything that you need it to do, and it gets more and more capable all the time.
I could not agree with you more. I really like the way you put that. It really is one of the most versatile things we've ever had as an option in technology for public safety. So let's go to a broader question. Given the depth and breadth of your experience, how about some advice for a command level person that's might be non-sworn, might be an IT manager that's being tasked with a major technology rollout at their agency? Maybe you could add in there something you know now that you wished you'd known or considered when you were working through some of your tech efforts.
I think what we're learning and what I would want to push is leverage the internet and cloud-based platforms. I think that's where the world is moving anyway. That allows your people to touch things and do things wherever they are. I think obviously you may have your own network, and we have to be able to access the city network, but to do that, you do it through VPN, virtual private network, and you access your city network, and that way you can control access and do that type of thing. Obviously, I would encourage any new leaders today to leverage mobile devices. Now, I say the phone is king. There may be small agencies that can get by with using tablets and other type of things, but I feel like in an environment in a city, having a tablet and having to put it someplace, a phone you can kind of just slip into your case or on your belt or someplace, put it and still have your hands free. And ultimately, I really feel that the phone also backs up the radio. So again, in a large city environment, something where you may feel like, hey, the radio system went down. I want to be able to contact my people, find my people, do that type of thing. Having a phone backup is a great option. The other thing I would push to them is to use a cloud-based platform to integrate cameras. I mentioned that earlier. For your video management system, a cloud-based platform, we use Fusus, and Fusus allows us to integrate cameras of any type, and ultimately it just gives you tremendous flexibility. Then you can leverage those cameras from wherever you are. For instance, right now, I can pull up on my phone a camera at an intersection, and if you had an accident 20 minutes ago, I can just scroll on the bottom of the screen and slide that camera back 20 minutes to when it happened and watch that accident occur on my phone, or I can do it on my MDT. So I can go 14 days on our cameras in the city of Atlanta. That's a tremendous capability to be able to go back in time and take a look at what happened at a certain place where there is a camera and the camera was facing in the right direction. So sometimes those things don't happen, but the bottom line is to be able to do that. The other thing is, today it's all about data. So one of the things that we've done integrating data is we're now using Peregrine, which is a cloud-based data integration, analytics, and visualization platform. And basically, when you're pulling in all your incident reports, your accident reports, you may be pulling in information from the jail, from the court, wherever. All these different things can be pulled into this one place and be visualized, and they can show you the links and where things are connected, or different people are connected to different vehicles and properties and all kinds of stuff. And so a cloud-based platform allows you to integrate all these disparate data sources. And so, again, to integrate it on a server is very challenging, very time consuming, and not as, just not as swift. So, I mean, in a cloud-based platform, it's just something that's a lot simpler and faster to do. And these guys are good at it. And so for a commander, I mean, these things cost money. So small departments, I don't know, where they can go in terms of all of this. But the larger municipalities need to move to cloud-based platforms where they're integrating their data, integrating their video management systems, and leveraging mobile devices.
Great response. Appreciate that. Let's close it out with this. You actually talked, or you mentioned using video to go back in time. Let's go the opposite direction. What do you see as the future for mobile and emergency services?
As I mentioned earlier, in terms of mobile services and public safety, I believe the phone is king, and that the phone is the tool that we want to use to make our officers and public safety more efficient and more capable, that type of thing. I know that we're wanting to add capabilities to vehicles in order to keep people safe. We want the vehicles to have sensors that allow the officers to be notified when somebody's approaching their vehicle, that type of thing, and for the vehicles to be capturing information. But, I would just, for the moment, I just see, the phone, and then I guess AI, is probably the next step, taking the data and being able to smartly look at it. And one of the things I mentioned was looking at video and being able to go a number of days behind, or that type of thing. One of the things we can do on our video as well is we can tell in Fusus, look for all the blue cars in this camera for a certain period of time, and it will show you all the blue cars and pull that, instantly. So using artificial intelligence to be able to sort things out and find things a lot quicker, just saves the investigators tons of time. And those capabilities are being built in, so that now we can circle a group of cameras and ask them to show us the vehicles that are a certain type, or even a person wearing certain clothing, that type of thing. And it's getting better and better in terms of its capability to search for additional items.
Wow. There is no real limitation. And every time I talk to you, I'm just struck by how broad your efforts have been, how integrated and complementary they've been. So congratulations on that. And I just want to tell you, John, thank you both for spending time with us and for what you've done for obviously your agency, but public safety as a whole. You're on the Samsung Advisory Council. I know I've heard you share things that have helped other people. So again, thank you for spending the time with us. Today's episode of Technology Spotlight was sponsored by Samsung Electronics of America and presented by Public Safety Insight. Stay safe out there, everyone.